What's going on, everybody? Aaron Collins, drone pilot here again. I wanted to go through this pretty simple fishing these wires through this 2014 Hobie Outback Mirage. I was trying to to route the wires the other day while the kayak was sitting on the ground. I was very unsuccessful doing that, so I kind of have this little rack I have built inside here, and I got the kayak laying on the side, and it seems like I can get to it pretty easy. So what I've done is I've opened up the hatch. I tried to get in there and get a good angle on it to show you guys, but I can't do that. I guess my arms are too fat to be able to do both. So what I'm gonna do is, real quick, is I'm gonna reach in here. Basically, you reach straight back to this point, and this is the one we're going after right here. So bear with me just a second. All right. There it goes. Hold on just a second. Don't want to lose this nut on the inside here. All right. So I got the nut out here. It's pretty easy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just take this out here, and it looks like the person who had the kayak last, they already had the proper little diameter grommet in here. So it's going to be as easy as just popping this grommet down out of this plug here and putting the wires in there. The great thing about getting this kayak used, well, not about getting used, but the previous owner, is in the rear hatch. Fortunately for me, they put all of those wire grommets inside this little tub in the back here. So open this up, whole bag of them, which is great to have. So I'm about to cut all of these loose here with my snips, and then I'm just gonna run them in this hole, reach down in this box, and fish them back up. And what our goal is to bring them out of one of these two ports right here. And where these grommets are going to come in handy is that I'm pretty sure these don't have the grommets already on them up here on the front, and I'll have to change those out. So I'll be right back. Started to run the wires in here. I got them kind of hanging out here temporarily, and I've reached inside the hole just here and removed this one as well. And what I wanted to show you was on this Hobie, it comes with like a blank, and the rubber grommets that I was talking about earlier in the back, they're in this bag. Just like, there are so many different varieties and combinations of wire sizes and all that good stuff. What I have settled on, if you look at the thickness of these wires, I got one pretty thick wire, one a little bit thinner. This is the size right here that I'm going to go with, this one right here. You can see there's some bigger ones, but I think this is the same one as well. So I'll use these two, and I'm going to need one for the rear, and then one for when it comes out. The plugs that go in here, all they do is they just slide up in here. So it's really hard to do with one hand, but essentially you're going to take this rubber gasket off of this plug here, right, and then you just push down on here and it slides right out. I'm showing you that you slide it out. You don't put it back in that way, or I couldn't get it to go back in that way. So basically what I did was I took the grommet and I put the wires on there the way I wanted it. So I have the bigger wire to the bottom, smaller diameter one on the top. Went ahead and put that on there, and then when I was putting it back, all I did was press it in this way. It takes some coaxing, but you know, it'll just push right in there, no problem. Another thing I'd like to add is to make sure that you put this grommet back on there before you route the wires in. I actually saw that in a video and forgot, so I made the same mistake. But anyway, I'm gonna finish, you know, putting these back up through here. Obviously, I need to put the grommet on that one as it comes through, which is much easier to do, you know, than that one was. Another thing I want to talk about is battery placement for this kayak. This kayak, actually, when it came, it had this giant piece of foam in there. Don't know where it got it from, but I'm going to reuse this one. So what I'm going to do is, essentially, I'm going to cut out a place for my battery in this piece of foam, and I'll end up using some of these pretty stout zip ties to go around it to kind of hold it in place. But once it gets inside the hole here, right in this area down in here, it's really snug in there. So it should be an ideal place to put it. So, all right, just to follow up on the rear, I only need the one transducer wire. I don't know why I was making a bonehead move, but I had actually both the wires down here. I had the power down here. So I would do like a test fit of these grommets to make sure that you get the right one out of all the different grommets. But in the front is the only place that I will actually need the grommet with the 2 holes in it. That'll go up here to catch both of these, coming out of here for the power, and then also the transducer. All right, so the next thing I did was I went ahead and put the fish finder up here so that I can check and see how much cable I need, you know, exiting the hole around here. I put myself some extra. I wouldn't say that you would need to do that, but because of the way that this thing was already spliced, if I would have just ran it straight back in, it would have had the double taped wires here really close to this. I'd rather just have some extra and deal with it that way. So once you've got that, then you want to go ahead and put your wires into the grommet and slide them into this plug here. And oh yeah, make sure that your gasket on the outside is put on there. And I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to make sure that mine is facing kind of towards the fish finder where I want it to go when I install it. You know, might be personal preference. Maybe it's going to be a little cleaner, but I'm going to go in here inside the hole and put the nut. All right, now as you can see, I kind of turned this one to kind of face that hole, and this one likewise to go that direction. I have, like I said, some spliced wires, so I didn't really have a choice but to get this big splice section out of the way. So that's kind of what it looks like. You know, and I might even wrap these back around here, just kind of keep them out of the way a little more, but I think right there they're going to be all right, and they're not going to get snagged too much. The next step in the installation, since that is done, is figuring out what we're going to do with the battery. And like we talked about a minute ago, I actually was doing some more looking in the hole. There's actually another one of these big foam pieces. I guess extra flotation for the big boys. I wonder if he was a big guy like me, the previous owner. But anyway, what we're going to do is, as discussed, is we are going to take this battery, cut out a spot for it, set it down in this foam piece here, which I'm just going to use a knife. I would recommend using a pretty sharp knife. Also, I have like a 3M adhesive that I use in the other kayak to keep these little foam float pads on it, and this kind of keeps away from vibration too when you put those little pads on there. But so I will probably do the same. I will shoot some of that adhesive down in there, just a 3M you know, like a fabric carpenter adhesive. It will make sure this battery sticks in there really nice and doesn't move. But I'm also going to put one of these big zip ties around it, and then we're going to stick it down in there, really close to the edge of the hole there somewhere. All right. Another thing, get you one of these these are really awesome for marking. I got another video where I'm installing seat on the kayak as well, and I've made some marks on there is where I want to put it, and that stuff, just you take a wet towel and it rubs right off. So I'm using it again to mark this pad up, and I'm going to cut it out, and I'll be right back. I did the battery, and I don't know if there's a wrong or a right way to do it, but anyway, so I took the best knife that I had, that was, well, the longest knife that I had that was sharp is my fillet knife, and I made, you know, 4 incisions, and then in order to get it out properly, I had to go and make 1 incision laterally through there, and the stuff just came right out. So now we're going to zip tie this bad boy up and throw it in there and see how it fits. So what I ended up doing was kind of cutting it off a little bit, and there's actually a set of bungees back here on these 2 scupper holes, and it seems like it holds it in there pretty good. It's pretty snug. So basically I will be able to remove this piece out instead of having to deal with that large piece of foam. But like I said, there's a ton of other flotation in this thing. So yeah, I think that's going to be the final placement of the battery. I've already checked it, everything's working fine, so that about does it for that installation. Right, so here's what the finished product looks like. So much cleaner than those things running down the H-rail. Thank you guys for watching. As always, leave a comment, like, subscribe. Thank you for watching.